Hey everybody, I wanted to show you my new hobby. Been working on this for, well, working in the engine for a couple weeks and working on this particular game for a couple days. This is a piece of software called the Godot Game Engine. Some people say Godot, other people say Godot. I think Godot sounds better. Um, and basically, it's a piece of software that allows you to create video games. And this is one I'm working on at the moment. It's a simple Asteroids clone, and still at an early stage of development. There's no collision detection between the bullets and the asteroids. The player asteroid collision detection is fairly rudimentary. If you can see in the top left corner up here, you see every time I hit a rock, that counter goes down. So I've got the framework of what's going to end up being basically lives. Basically, you'll start out with 3 lives or five lives, whatever it may be, and whenever that counter up here gets to 0, your game will be over, and you'll have a chance to replay from the main menu again. So far as actual visual show-off ability, this is all I have so far. But it's a really cool piece of software. By the way, Chris Hodges, if you're watching this, you've got to you got to do this with me, man. It's cool. I really like the structure of this. It's got a really nice hierarchical structure, what have you. Basically, each individual element of a game you can create individually in separate scenes. Like I've got my main scene where I compile all my other scenes together. I've got my asteroid scene where I've drawn out my asteroids, and I've drawn collision boxes around every asteroid. So basically that facilitates collisions between the player and the rocks themselves. If my player goes inside that red line, he loses a life. Of course, I got my bullets. I've got my collision for the bullets set up. As you can see, each individual scene you can play separately. Of course, that's not a playable scene. Bullet, it's not a playable scene, but player, this does have a little bit of functionality. I can fly my ship around. I can shoot my gun. And of course, you go over here to main, and that's the big deal. I've got a background. I've got my controls up here in the top left corner that are going to show my lives and any power ups I may have. I've got my player node, an instance of my player node placed in. I've got this timer is to instantiate a new asteroid every so many seconds. So every 2 seconds, it's going to create a new asteroid along this path around the perimeter of the game space, and then it's going to instruct that asteroid, wherever it may be, to basically turn inwards and come towards the center of the screen. Not exactly towards the center, but inside the play screen from whatever direction it may start off from, which again, that's all dynamic, that's all random. The code is, it for this kind of stuff, it's about as easy as it gets. It uses a language called GD script, which, while it's not identical, it's very similar to Python. So anybody that's ever messed with Python, you'll be, relatively familiar with it pretty quickly. And again, it's all compartmentalized, and you just compile it all together in your main scene. Of course, if I go back to my scenes here, I'll show you each individual object you can assign a script to. For example, my player is using the player script. So if I go over here to scripts and I go to player, that's all my code that is going to dictate how my ship moves, how it shoots, how it collides, really anything that's directly related to the ship. Um, of course, I've got code for what you do if you push the up button, if you push the down button, left button, right button. You see it rotates when you push the left or right button. That sort of stuff. Fun stuff. And that's about it. This is my first, I guess you could call it a developer diary, even though it's a little bit of a developer diary slash a plea for my friend Chris to learn this with me. And yeah, I'll probably be making these every couple of days or so until I have something approximating a finished product. It's fun for me and it'll help keep me motivated. So for now, so long, and I'll see you soon on the next update. All right, guys, have a good one.